About every girl we knew, what all we put them through, like two old boys will do. We pondered life and death, he lit a cigarette. So these dang things that kill me, yeah.
Greetings. Welcome to part 2 of day 14. It's great to be here. We had some technical difficulties to start off the video, but lovely Miss Lorilei endured them all, and so here we are. We're going to talk about the second part of day 14. Aren't we?
Sure.
Yeah, so welcome. I'm Dave, and the channel is Harley's Diners Rise, and this is the lovely Miss Lorilei, and I'm going to hand it over to her, and let's get to it.
He's so happy with me right now. So this is a take 2. So I don't know if he's going to take pieces out of the first one, but in our first take, you may recall that it was getting dark, and so he's like, oh, let's take this inside. So we took it inside for part 2. And in part 2, he left the air conditioning on, so it was quite noisy, and he was not happy with that. So we're redoing part 2. So realistically, again, just to take where we left off, we came off this like super high, coming from the Grand Ole Opry, listening to Crystal Gayle, phenomenal night. Just want to share my lovely new jean jacket from Nashville. Just now that I get that chance to do that, okay?
She got that at the old Opry.
But here's the thing.
She got it.
Here's the thing. We are now really on our way home, technically. So we're in another KOA where?
Toledo.
In
just
Toledo.
Outside of Detroit.
And so anyways, it's nice to see the trailer and see our setup. And so we just got in about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, but we got in 7:30.
Yeah. So Friday morning, what we did is we started out with Studio B. So you may recall we talked about Sun Records in a previous video, and now we're coming into Studio B. Well, this was RCA, and it was the takeover of the Elvis contract for $35,000. But it was very different because the woman who ran the tour was very, very technical, and she was quite delightful and very, very funny. So Studio B started in 1957, and what I'll do is I won't highlight all the songs, but some of the big major ones that resonated with Dave and I, right? So it started in 1957, and Oh Lonesome Me by Don Gibson. Bill Porter was an expert on slicing and splicing and making miracles happen is kind of how they explained it. So he did a phenomenal job. Did you want to share something?
I was just going to say that the slicing is, everything was recorded on tape. So if there was a bad section, they would cut it out and then splice it and tape it or glue it back together again, so that part was removed from the song.
And in 1960, that brought the Everly Brothers, which, I mean, I just loved growing up with the Everly Brothers. I was really young, though, but...
Still young, very young.
Yeah, but also Roy Orbison, right? I remember singing Roy Orbison. In 1962, that's where Elvis Presley's contract was purchased for $35,000 from Sun. And that's where he recorded Are You Lonesome Tonight? So our guide shared this really interesting story about it being recorded. So what happened is, before they had mood lighting, they had this really bright fluorescent lights, and it was about 3 or 4 in the morning when they did the recording for this. And Elvis was really concerned about the lighting. He says, I don't feel this, right? They go, well, what do you want us to do, Elvis? And he goes, well, turn the lights out. So they recorded in one take in the dark, and this is where Bill Porter came in and made miracles. There was one slight off voice from his backup singers, but funnily, when that was happening, he smacked his head on the mic, and there's a big bunk. But Porter fixed it, and we listened to the original recording, which was incredible, and there's just a slight click, so you can still hear it. And what a treat to see the original, or hear the original recording. And we listened in the dark, which was really amazing. So in 1962, it brought also Bobby Bare, Hank Snow, and Jim Reeves. So in 1964, that brought Dottie West, Connie Smith, and Charlie Pride. Now Charlie Pride, next to Elvis, was the top ranking talent, right, with the most awards, at this location. And in 1965, Elvis recorded the gospel hit "How Great Thou Art," and Waylon Jennings also joined the party. In 1967, Porter Wagner and Dolly Parton and Jerry Reed joined the label. In 1971, we hear more from Waylon, more from Porter and Dolly, and more from Elvis. In 1973, this brought Ronnie Milsap. In 1975 through 1977, we see again more from the same talent, but also the start of the Outlaws. And the studio was closed in 1977. So Elvis and RCA had over 1,000 hit songs hit the charts, and Elvis had over 43 albums and so many hits. We saw the original equipment, we saw the acoustics, which were amazing. Like we got to participate in appreciating the acoustics, right, with the reverberation, right? We saw all the original artifacts, which are still there today, with also 1942 Steinway that Elvis loved to play, that we got to see. So from there, so this was incredible itself. From there, we then went to the Country Music Museum. So how it started, I mean, first of all, I'm going to say, oh, my cousin. So we put a few pictures out yesterday on Facebook, and my cousin Charlene highlighted to me that the outdoor of the building, if you look at all the windows, are actually to mimic a keyboard. Fun fact, which was amazing. Didn't notice it till she mentioned it. No guide pointed it out. So we caught that in some of our pictures if you look on Facebook. So I don't even know where to start with the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum. There was just so much to see, but it started where Taylor Swift donated about $4 to $5 million to allow children to have music camp there, and we got to see some kids actually in the camp. It was incredible.
Some young girls. There was one young girl, I don't know how old she would have been, but she was cranking out the tunes on a bass guitar.
It was amazing.
It's an amazing job.
And then also she had like sort of an art concept, right? And just so that young kids can have a deep appreciation and love for music. So then there was also another large opportunity to talk about the history and story of Patty Loveless. Her life and all of her artifacts were also on display. So to me, it was also an incredible history lesson, right? Starting with Barbara Allen, stemming from English, Irish, and Scottish immigrants who brought ballads and fiddlers to the Appalachian Mountains. Then it was influenced by African American folk music, again more influenced by, you know, gospel tradition, and so on and so on. I mean, it would take me a full day to tell you the whole story. But what was interesting is that the memorabilia prevailed here. So let's start with Jimmy Rogers' guitar. Let's talk about the Carter family, and Maybelle Carter's auto harp was here. Gene Autry's guitar, Roy Rogers' saddle and boots, right? Minnie Pearl's dress, right?
And her hat with the price tag on it.
Still the price tag. So there were so many artists and so many genres and such an evolution of this music that I certainly can't sit here and list every single thing and list every single artifact, but let me highlight some of the really key talent that resonate both for David and I that we wanted to share.
Am I on this list?
No.
No?
You are not on this list.
I thought I'd be on this list.
You're not a country and western talent.
I can be talented in country and western.
Yeah. No.
Maybe? No? Okay.
No. So let me share some of those favorites with you. So Roy Acuff, Hank Snow, Kitty Wells, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lewis, Elvis Presley, Everly Brothers, Jim Reeves, Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Connie Smith, Chet Atkins, Hee Haw, so a lot of the original props and things from Hee Haw, Hank Williams, Jimmy Rogers, Maybelle Carter, again was featured, Ricky Nelson, Emmylou Harris, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Maker, Brooks and Dunn, and Jelly Roll. And I only learned about Jelly Roll last month from someone I work with.
I still haven't heard one of his songs.
He's really good.
I'm gonna have to find that and play it.
I'm highlighting that though because, you know,
it was brand new to you.
Yeah, and then, so anyways, I'm certainly not doing this museum justice, right? But it's incredible, you know, all the original art, a lot of memorabilia. Elvis's car, remember his gold-plated car, and it's just incredible, and it's an absolute must-see when you're in Nashville. So then we went off to lunch at the Johnny Cash restaurant, right? And we listened to music before visiting his museum.
Yep.
So.
And at the Johnny Cash restaurant, they had live music there, and you know, it had a couple of fellas singing, a young girl playing the fiddle, and they did Walk the Line, and they did a really good job of it.
It was really amazing, and we took a lot of pictures, which we'll share for the museum. But also, we had their sort of traditional Nashville hot chicken, right? Nashville hot chicken, which was really interesting. And what did you have? Oh, I
had the chicken fingers.
You had chicken tenders or whatever, homemade chicken tenders.
They looked like chicken thighs.
Yeah,
they were that big. They were big.
And so from there, then we popped over then to the Johnny Cash Museum. So hello, my name is Johnny Cash.
You did better.
I did, better than the first take?
Better than last night. Yeah.
So we learned his history, you know, starting from the 1950s all the way up to 2000s. We were actually amazed at how many movies or spot things he had in shows. Like, what was that show you watched with your mom?
Well, my mom used to love watching Columbo, and Johnny Cash was one of the villains in that. But I was surprised that he played on The Simpsons.
Yeah, a voiceover.
He did a voiceover on The Simpsons. Surprised
incredible.
me. But dozens. He starred in a movie with Kirk Douglas called The Duels, or Gunfight. Gunfight, yeah. Anyway, interesting.
But we did see a lot of memorabilia for him too. So his birth records, school books, report card, his 1940 radio that he listened to June Carter Cash on. We saw a lot about his history in the Air Force. Of course, he had a first marriage and he loved his wife and he had wonderful children with her. But, you know, from there, starting back to early days and his sort of fascination with June Carter, it was incredible to see his commitment and love for her and their marriage. And he even had this most beautiful heart that he personally inscribed that was forever in this, you know, in this museum now, forever there. So we saw their Cash table settings, furniture from their lakeside house or waterside house. He had these special chairs. We saw all of his awards, all of his albums, you know, all of the special people in his life. Oh, what about the presidential dinner, right? There was also a presidential dinner where him and his wife went and were at the White House for dinner. So we saw the clothes that they wore to that, which was really interesting. Yeah. And then he had this really cherished crucifix ring that he got on his 70th birthday. He wore it right through. We also saw all of his outfits that he wore in all his major events. His albums, all of his hits, his friendship with the $1 Million Quartet. So there was a little section on Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, his relationship with Sun Records. And then one of the things he really cherished was the Cash family piano. So it was in a place of I guess, a place of recognition. And then memorabilia also from his movie, Walk the Line, which we found out, Walk the Line was when he was married to Vivian, that he promised her he would never cheat or never do the wrong thing.
Right.
He wrote that song for her, but of course he did do the wrong thing. And we found out a story actually from Grand Ole Opry, from the gentleman there, that when Johnny Cash went on a school trip to the Grand Ole Opry, he met June, you know, and
No, he didn't meet
was
them.
that a school trip? It was.
He saw them during the school trip,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until his first when he played.
That's right.
I think he played the Grand Ole Opry first time, and he was introduced to June Carter.
Correct. Oh, that's right. So there was like the first meeting from a school trip where
Yeah.
he had just missed her, but she had played. And then, he was in the audience. That's
Yes.
what it was. And then the second trip, when he was actually playing again, while he was married, unfortunately, the story goes that he actually walked up to June and said,
I'm going to marry
I'm
you
gonna marry
someday.
you. I'm going to marry you someday. And was it Carl Perkins was her husband? Or Carl? I think it was Carl.
Right.
Carl.
Anyway, he was the one that
introduced them.
He was the one that
Awkward.
introduced her.
Totally awkward. Anyways, it was evident through here, you know, how much he loved her. And then he just died only a few months after her death, right? And then they have their one son. So, anyways, it was, again, incredible. You know, we squeezed in 4 major events. We then came back last night, of course, though. We came back last night. We spent all the afternoon in the pool, or late afternoon in the pool. You know, we had a little hamburger. It was 34, 35?
30, yeah, it was hot.
We spent it in the pool. We listened to some other talent at the pool that was playing locally. We did some reading. And we did, Dave has to have his hamburger and bacon. So we did have a hamburger for dinner. Yeah, that would be our David.
Yes.
But what a way to wrap it up and have a little bit of relaxation. It was incredible. It's been a whirlwind. It's been an incredible trip. We made great progress today.
Yeah.
Coming all the way from Nashville down to
Toledo. We're at the Toledo
KOA,
just outside of Detroit, and by the time we're finished tomorrow, we'll be back home in Keswick.
We'll be home. 2 weeks are gone. I just want to say thank you so much for the Country and Western Tour. This has been a phenomenal trip. So many memories. And I just want to end on a good note. Be nice.
Thank you.
And
All right.
hello, my name is Johnny.
Cash.
Oh.
All right. So anyway, we're going to leave it there. More great videos to come up through the summer. Hope you join us. Thanks for joining us for this small series of Lori's It's All About Country, right? So in the meantime, as I always say, ride safe, be safe, and we'll see you soon. For Harley's Diners Rides, I'm Dave.
Hello, my name is Lorilei.
She's getting good at it. All right, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.
Bye.